The prior post I made was actually a YouTube video of a guy who tried to go beyond just anecdotal information about bears and bear repellent. And that is the bear spray versus a gun specifically. That was real interesting. He tried to go by the data. Anyway, it's a prior post that I made. And one of the things I wanted to follow up on is my own opinions and my own anecdotal information that I have. And if any of you have your own anecdotal or just story or opinions, love to hear about them. You know, down in the comments, please put them there. It might help other people. So my first anecdote or story would be about bears. Would be one time I went for a day hike up in Glacier, and I did have bear spray with me. And Glacier's known for having grizzly bears, and grizzly is definitely one that you do not want to take a chance on. There is a lot of times that people have been found dead, their stomachs eaten out. This was according to a guy that used to work in the park ranger service there, that was in a campground managing it, and told me about rescue missions that he went up for. So I definitely would advise at least bear spray if you're going in grizzly country, or polar bears. Polar bears are also real fierce. Black bears is a totally different issue, and if you're just going in black bear country, it takes another consideration. While I was up in Glacier, one day I was by myself, and I wanted to try to make it over to one of the mountains up around Mariah Pass, and that happens to be on the CDT. Even though it was just a day hike, I did have bear spray with me. But to be honest, I did not know how to use it properly. I had it with me, and when I encountered a grizzly that crossed my trail, I wanted a picture really bad. So I had bear spray off of one side of my day pack, and I had my camera in my pocket. So it scared me quite a bit, but I looked down. I didn't know if I wanted to take a picture. Definitely wanted to take a picture. So I had one hand on my camera and the other hand on the bear spray. And I glanced back up. He had been in the middle of the trail, and I saw him run straight into the woods. So at that point, I realized I had frozen. So I don't know. I think bear spray would have been the most important thing to be ready with. That's one anecdotal, or not anecdotal, story. Okay, another story that black bear encounter on the Florida Trail. My son and I, Stacy, were up at Clearwater Lake. We had just driven up for a day hike, and as we drove up to the trailhead there was this huge black bear. I mean, he was beautiful though. Oh my gosh, his skin was so beautiful, his hide. But I got to admit, it's like, oh, we're going on that trail. He ran off, and who knows? So we were both a little spooked at that time, but we hiked anyway. We never saw him. The moral of that story is that I think you're going to see bears at places where there's potential food, more so than in just areas in the woods where people don't spend the night typically. And that's probably the highest frequency of bear encounters. Along that line, I was up on the AT on one of my 100-mile plus hikes, and was going to stay. I came across a shelter, and it was about time to call it a day. But there was posting all around. I mean, on the shelter itself, it said, frequent bear activity here. And, just gave the usual warnings. Hang your food, don't put your food in your tent, all that sort of thing. But I was by myself, and I had talked to a couple of people hiking the other direction, and they had seen bears running around close by. So I was going to spend the night there in my tent, not necessarily in the shelter, and it did kind of freak me out a little bit, and I had questions as to whether I should move on. Later, some other people did show up, and so I ended up with like 7 people were camped out there, so I felt a lot more comfortable knowing that if a bear came through, there were several of us there. I just heard a noise. I don't know, maybe it's my stomach gurgling, but talking about bears, it kind of scared me a little bit. Not really. Bottom line is, I have stayed quite a few nights on both the Florida Trail and the Appalachian Trail, totally by myself, not around camping areas, but what they call dispersed camping, where you might run across a place where people have stayed. And I'm probably safer doing that because it's not a place where a lot of people frequent and they drop food, and therefore less likely to have bears that frequent the area. Admittedly, when I'm by myself, it's a little bit or a lot spookier when you're by yourself and miles from being anywhere and nobody else is around. So that's another bear type story that I have to deal with when I'm hiking. Now, here's another thing I do not know about. It seems like I've heard 2 different opinions on that, is with bear spray. The guy that was up in Glacier, he said, and he's a guy that helped train park rangers according to him, and he said that he highly recommends taking bear spray, and wherever you're camped, just do a little squirt around your campsite, just one. He said bears can smell that for so many miles, and that would help keep them away. But it seems like I've heard that it's possible that bear spray, a slight smell of it, could attract them. So I don't know the answer to that one. This was a guy who supposedly had a lot of experience, but take that with a grain of salt. I'd be tempted to maybe try that, especially in grizzly country. One thing about bear spray is, especially for women who do not feel comfortable out on the trail by themselves or anywhere, it kind of works as a double benefit, and that is they feel more comfortable, especially if there's some shady looking people that are out hiking that they meet. So they've got bear spray that will possibly help them either with bears or with some strange people. One time I did the Foothills Trail a few years ago, and up on, I think it was Sassafras Mountain, I was coming down and finishing up my hike. I don't know, it took me 5 days or something. Ran across 2 young guys, and their guns were displayed right on their hip. They were wearing guns, and they were real nice guys. So I feel very comfortable around people with guns. But personally, that gun weighs a lot. And is it needed? If it makes you feel comfortable and you've got the strength, but as far as weight with guns and bullets, no, I'll go with the statistics, especially in black bear country, that very super unlikely anything to happen. As another side note or story, as far as bears go, especially on the Florida Trail, I have run across a lot more alligators that have scared me than bears. Bears run away. I've seen them actually run away, but alligators, they're like a log. And I've had several encounters where I had to wait or try to go way out around them, because that is a scary animal. Okay, here's another sort of a funny little story. When my wife and I were up at Glacier, we went over to the Canadian border, and passing through customs, they asked me if I had any pepper spray. And I said, no, but I do have bear spray. And it's kind of funny, the border guard said, well, he said, this is really funny. He said, bear spray, you can cross over here. Pepper spray, no. And the irony of that, according to this guy, is that bear spray is way more potent than pepper spray. So his concern was bear spray against a human is going to be way more potent than pepper spray, but technically it's allowed. This is a little personal experience I had around bear spray. My last hike on a Florida trail, and I've done about 900 miles of the 1,100 miles. The last section I did, I was with for a few days with a guy named, his trail name was Brushy Bert. He's kind of a mountain of a guy. He's a great big guy, and he loves to get in swamp areas, and he's fearless. Likes to take pictures of snakes and get in swampy areas of snakes and gators and stuff. Anyway, I hiked with him and we did some road hiking. We had, while with him, and he carried bear spray right up on his shoulder, and he had it on him, and we were hiking down a sand road when a pit bull came out, and I mean, he came out to get us. He was very, very, very aggressive. But Bert reached up, grabbed that bear spray, and sprayed in front of him. He got before he got to us, but just before, sprayed in front of him. He never sprayed the dog directly. And that spray, that dog turned around and went back. And that was one aggressive looking dog. He did that 2 times while I was with him. And in that regard, I wonder about if you have a bear coming at you, if it's better to spray in front of him, and then if he keeps coming, then spray him, because I don't know if he would be so pissed off that he would come after you more if you actually sprayed him in the face first. I'm not sure, but I saw that firsthand, what it did to the dog. Here's another little story. It's been, I don't know, maybe 3 years, I can't remember. My son and I were up on the Appalachian Trail and for several days, and one day we got caught trying to get to a shelter and we were running late. Anyway, I'll continue this in a second. There goes one. Anyway, the story was we were coming into it was dark and we were going by a headlamp and we're coming down a mountain towards a shelter. We'd been out for, I don't know if we'd been out an hour yet in the dark. But as we're coming down, and I can't remember if it was Tennessee or exactly where it was in the mountains on the Appalachian Trail, but my son was behind me and I was in front, and all of a sudden I heard him scream because we heard something coming up behind him, and it sounded like it was pretty good size. In the dark, it's really kind of spooky. Turns out it was, I think it was a beagle. It was a hound of some kind, and he had an antenna on him, so he was he was bear hunting. It was a bear hunting dog. Anyway, we were just coming into the shelter, and the dog was, I mean, he was mooching food off of us as we made our food. We gave him a little bit of food. We felt sorry for him. He did have a collar on and a phone number, and he had, like I said, an antenna for tracking. And he spent the whole night with us, which kind of made us feel safer, and I think maybe that's an erroneous thing. And the next day we got up, he was still around, and we walked with him quite a ways. I called the number, and I was able to find a cell service and called the guy, and he was going to meet us at the next road intersection that we came to. So anyway, the point of this is that since then, although we feel safe with the dog around, you know, he was sniffing around all night, he barked a few times, we felt safer that he'd run off bears. On the contrary, I believe I've seen information saying that many of the bear attacks that have happened, black bear attacks, are because of somebody with a dog that's barking at the bear. And so I don't know if that's true or not. It's another anecdotal story. Not really. I think I used AI and questioned that once. Google it yourself and see. But if you feel safer with the dog, it may or may not be true. I felt safer at the time. Right now, I don't know how I'd feel. So, if you're planning on doing any road walking, and the Florida Trail has quite a bit of that back in the country, I would say bear spray would be better to protect you from dogs. More likely to protect you from dogs than it would be from bears. I have also, one thing I wanted to mention is both Florida Appalachian Trail, the Art Loeb Trail, the Foothills Trail that I've done, the Ocean to Lake Trail, I've seen lots of bear scat. And as you know, if you see bear scat, there's bears. So virtually everywhere you hike, there are possibility of bears. However, remember, there's a lot more, especially in Florida, animals and critters than there are bears, other than just bears. One of them is wild boars, and I have seen boars, and theoretically I think they're more dangerous than bears. They're very infrequent that I've ever seen them, but they can be very protective, especially if they've got little piglets. The other thing that scares me, that I know in my heart is just fine, but still, if you're alone at night deep in the woods and you hear coyotes running all around you, hear them off in the distance and then they get closer, I gotta admit, for me it's a little scary. Now I've backpacked with using a hammock and a tarp, and most lately it's all using my tent. Now the tent has 4 walls around it that are all made of real thin, lightweight cloth, but I feel a lot safer in that. I have in my hammock, I have woke up with bear scat, large amount of it, within under 10 foot from my hammock. That kind of makes you feel like you're a big taco laying there. But I've done hundreds of miles with the hammock, and it's real comfortable. But I have to admit, it feels just a little bit spooky in a hammock. But spookier than a hammock is the tarp, because the tarp has 360 degrees around it that's wide open. It's a little bit, you feel like you're more open to visitors. That could be snakes crawling in, anything. But it's real lightweight hiking, and I've done a couple hundred miles with just a tarp as well. Okay, wrapping this up, I'm going to create a YouTube with this, so feel free if you watch this from YouTube. I really enjoy hearing comments of any experiences and what you believe is the safest way to backpack. I recently just bought an earth sack to hold my food. I used to just hang it over limbs, and then I've gotten lazy and slept with it double wrapped in my tent. So you do whatever you want. I'm probably going to, since a lightweight earth sack, I'll be using that a lot. We'll see how that works out in this Colorado trail I have coming up. But I'll put links in my YouTube here to a couple of different hikes and videos. I'll re-link the video that guy tried to do a more data-driven report on bear spray versus guns. Now I've had family members, my daughter especially, and other people, some of my grandsons, say, you need to take a gun with you. Okay, all I can say is, for some people that may be what they do, but if you have never backpacked miles, like several days, a week or two, and experienced what weight can do to you and how difficult it can make your hike, then you really don't know. You might want to give up. Ooh, there's a spider right there. I don't know if you can see. Where is he? Oh, did he? God dang. Dang it, I must have backed up into him. Oh well. I don't have my spider spray with me. I will say that there was a time a few years ago before I started backpacking that it scared me to be alone in the woods. During the day, sometimes, depending on how far out you are. But at night, definitely. Oh man, it used to scare me. And I faced those fears, and finally, I still have a slight fear at night when you start hearing noises. I carry an extra little light that can flash really bright. And I'm not sure where I'm going here. Got several intersections. So when I hear things crawling around or making noise, I'll flash it out. Usually it's either like an armadillo or a squirrel or a raccoon. Yeah, noises slightly arouse my awareness. But don't let it stop you. Go out, hike, experience what it's like to hike with a lot of weight, and you'll too find out that sometimes you got to make some tough decisions as to what you want to take with you. As long as I'm in bear country, I probably won't take any bear spray with me. Hopefully that won't come back to haunt me. So anyway, I'm getting ready to go to the Colorado Trail, and I did enough research that all they have is black bear, and there's not hardly any road walking, so bear spray wouldn't help me with dogs. So we'll see how that goes. Until then, please comment. I'll post this link in Facebook, my Facebook group, Hiking Florida. And if you get to this by the Hiking Florida Facebook group and you've joined that, leave comments there. Would appreciate any of your experiences or opinions. Other than that, if you're just getting to it via the YouTube, would love to have comments there as well. Happy trails.